What's up, everybody? Today, I'm going to talk to you about my experience as a Lyft and Uber driver. So if you're curious to know what it's like to be a Lyft or an Uber driver, then keep on watching. Okay, so here we are. So, this video I really wanted to do because this is a big part of my life, and I don't know if many people know this about me, but I drive for Lyft and Uber part-time. So I know a lot of people are dying to know, is it worth it to drive for Lyft and Uber? Is it safe? What is your experience driving for Lyft and Uber? So I'm going to spill all the tea. So if you're curious to know the nitty-gritty and what I go through as a Lyft and Uber driver, then keep on watching. Why I got started. Believe it or not, there was a point in my life where I went from working 7 days a week to 3 hours every 2 weeks. Now, I know that sounds crazy, and you're probably wondering, how in the heck is that possible? Well, I'm here to tell you that life happens, things happen, and due to some unforeseen circumstances, that was my situation. I had two bosses that decided that they were going to cut my hours, and as a result, I had no control over my income. So I decided to drive for Uber and Lyft because I was in between jobs. And so the fact of the matter was, I was in between jobs. I had went from working 7 days a week to 3 hours every 2 weeks. Now, I know you're wondering, how does that even happen? Well, I'm here to tell you things happen in life due to some unforeseen circumstances between two bosses I had. My hours were cut drastically, and it was just a horrible coincidence that they were cut at the same exact time. So with that being said, I was practically out of two jobs, went from working two jobs to one job that cut my hours, and I was then working 3 hours every 2 weeks. So that's how it happened. That was my circumstance. I had no control over my income. I didn't have multiple streams of income coming in. I just had the two, and I had two bosses that controlled if I was going to work or if I wasn't going to work, how many hours I was going to work, what days I was going to work, and that was just the way it was. So what started me driving for Lyft, I actually started driving for Lyft first, was the fact that I had family members that were driving for Lyft part-time, and they suggested that, I get started and just try it out, see if I like it. So, I took the plunge. I said, you know what, I'm going to do this. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how this works, but I'm going to clean out my car, I'm going to sign up for it, clean out my car, put the Lyft sticker on my window, and just give it a go. So the first day I started driving for Lyft, I was mortified. I drove about 30 minutes away from my town, just because I knew that there was more people in that area. Sat in a Starbucks parking lot and just hoped for the best. And literally, I would say about 15 minutes later, I got a little buzz on my phone to pick somebody up. And I said, here we go. And it was nonstop the whole night. So that was my first night driving for Lyft. I was terrified, didn't know what to expect. But due to the experience of the way they set it up on the app, the driver's app, it was very first time friendly. And luckily, the people I picked up, they were very pleasant, and they just wanted to get where they needed to go. So with that being said, what I've learned as a Lyft and now Uber driver for, I would say about 2 years now, is that people just want to get to where they want to go, and that's that. So the one thing I did notice becoming a Lyft driver was that um, I noticed that I was in control of my own income, and I could set my own hours, and I decided when I was going to work, what days I was going to work, and what the hours were going to be. So with that being said, here's my experience. 1, there was a demand for people needing a ride. Any time of the day, you name it, there's always going to be someone needing a Lyft ride. If you sign up for Uber, there's always going to be someone needing an Uber ride. 2, I was generating my own income. Once again, it was not someone else in control of how I made the money. It was me in control of how I made the money, and it was up to me to put myself to work to make that money. So I really had to change my mindset from, okay, I'm scheduled to work this day. I have to go to work. I don't feel like it. I don't want to do it. Or, I could still love what I do at my job and be scheduled by another person. But this time it was me, and I said, listen, you have to get to work this morning. You have to get to work tonight, whatever the time was, whatever the day was. I had to push myself to get up out of bed and, go to work for myself. So with that being said, as a Lyft or an Uber driver, you are self-employed. Also, I began making, when I started out, I was making more money than my hourly job. So back when I started, like I said, I was like literally a few hours every week or a few hours every 2 weeks during the holiday season, which was insane. I had never experienced anything like that in my career. I had never been at a job where I was begging for hours, just saying, please, can I have more hours? Is there anything you can do? That had never, ever been an issue for me in my career. And here I was in that position. So I did start making more money than my hourly job. And some of the rides I was getting were literally one ride equaled an hour of working at the job I was at. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, if I pick up one ride and make this much money, just giving one person a ride, I may not need that hourly job. And I'm not talking about, everybody's situation was different. I'm talking about when I first started and how little hours I was getting and how much money I was making. It turned out that I started making more money being a Lyft driver than I was trying to get hours at the job I was at. So one ride became how much I was making an hour, or actually more than what I was making an hour at that job that I was so devastated that I didn't have any hours to work. Another thing I noticed that the money was instant. Not only do they pay out once a week on a certain day, but if you want, you can receive that money within less than an hour. And I will say, honestly, within less than 5 minutes, you can receive that money instantly for a fee of 50 cents. So if you need, let's say you're paycheck to paycheck, or you're short, your money for the week, and you just need a boost till you get to your paycheck for your regular job, you can drive around, collect some money, and then instantly get that money into your account within less than 5 minutes. With that being said, it's a great way to have instant cash on hand for the cost of a 50 cents fee. I'm gonna throw that out there. For the cost of a 50 cents fee, you can have money instantly into your account, which I think is a plus. And, it gives you more flexibility to, control what's coming in and what's going out as far as your money goes. Now, how does it work is probably the next question. Well, what happens is Lyft and Uber, they both have an app that you can download on your phone, and they have the driver's app and they have the customer app. When you sign up for the driver's app, that allows you to turn it on. There's an on button you can hit where you can turn it on to say you are available to pick up anybody, at that given time. So as long as you hit the on button or the go button, then that alerts customers that you are in their area to give them a ride to wherever they have to go. So with that being said, you need a really good working phone. There have been times where my phone broke and I had a crappy phone, and somehow by the grace of God, the app still worked on 3G. Now, what day and age we're in now, and me saying 3G is just bizarre. So, I have had instances where I had to borrow a phone just to keep my income coming in, because things got rough. My phone broke and I needed a new one. It was just a big old mess. Long story short, you need a phone that can download the app. The better working your phone is, the better the experience is as a Lyft or Uber driver. 2, they're going to ask you a couple things about your driving record and your driving credentials and the type of car you have. So you have to have a clean driving record. If you do not, most of the time you are not qualified as a Lyft or Uber driver. And I'm going to say Lyft or Uber because these are the two most popular driving apps. There are a couple more that I will list as well that you can sign up for below. There's actually a ton, but I just want to talk about the ones I've had experience with, which is Lyft and Uber. So they're going to ask about your driving record. They're going to ask about your paperwork for your car. And all of these things have to be in good standing. And they're also going to ask you about the make and model of your car. So if you have a newer car, I forget what the year is, but I can share that information with you down below or caption it, whichever is best. If you have a newer make or model of the car, it is a lot easier to get signed up, in addition to having a clean driving record. So you have to have your license up to date, your registration up to date, clean driving record, decent car. If it's under a certain year, I believe you do have to get your car inspected just to make sure that your car is safe. If it's a newer car, you may or may not have to get it inspected. They just ask you to do your own inspection of the car and assure them that the car is in good standing as far as, good quality car. My experience with that was when I started out, I had a 2008. So it was very easy to sign up. Nobody had to come and inspect my car or anything like that. It's just a couple simple questions about the car, and boom, you are signed up to be a driver. Later down the road, I got a 2016. It was much easier to sign up and just let them know I got a new car. And as a result, there were also some perks to having a newer car as a driver. There are incentives. For certain apps, there are incentives for having a newer car, just so you know. Next question is, how much do you make? I know you guys are dying to know how much I make as a Lyft or Uber driver, and I will tell you that it is good money, but it is good money in perspective of what your situation is. So with that being said, I'm going to share what I've made personally in my area. I'm not going to give you the area I live in, but I'm just going to tell you that based off the area I'm in and the metro areas around me, which I will give you that information, I'm going to tell you exactly how much I make on average and if it is or isn't worth it to be a Lyft or Uber driver. So with that being said, I make on average, now mind you, this is an average, I make about $1 a mile or $1 a minute, or on average, either that or $18 an hour, $18 to $20 an hour. This all depends on how many people need a ride, how many drivers there are in my area, and what area I am driving around in. Now, I do live in an area that is seasonal, meaning that there are more rides in the summer than there are in the winter because it is a vacational area. The metro areas around me are Philadelphia, and I also, as far as metro areas go, I also do driving in North Jersey, and the metro areas nearby are Philadelphia. So with that being said, I'm actually in a slower area where the demand is not that high and the drivers are higher than the demand. So as a result, I don't necessarily make the full potential of what I can make where I live. I can drive out, like I said, when I first started, I was driving about 30, 45 miles away to an hour away just to make the money I wanted to make full time. Now what I do is I do have other jobs, and what I do is I work around my other jobs and do it part-time in between the hours that I'm working my other jobs, whether that be before or after, preferably after, because you never know where a ride is going to have to go. You can get a ride that wants to go 2 hours away. It's happened, trust me. You can get a ride that wants to go an hour away, 20 minutes away. You can get a ride that wants to go down the street. It all depends on the demand of the customers in your area. So the question you're probably asking me is it worth it? My answer is going to be yes. It is worth it, especially part-time, to supplement another job. I say that because you never know what the demand is going to be. You never know how many drivers are going to be in your area. So with that being said, as a result, I personally prefer to do it part-time. It can be done full-time. It can become a full-blown hustle full-time depending on where you are. And you just have to be a little savvy about what you're doing and where you're going to look for rides. So I also want to do a video about tips on how to make the most money being a Lyft and Uber driver. So that will be coming up soon. So if you want to see that, subscribe, like this video, comment below with your questions so that I can answer those questions in the next video. And let's make this money. I wish I had a money gun so I could shoot some money out, but baby steps. So next, pros and cons of being a Lyft and Uber driver. Pros: instant money deposited into your bank account. You set your own hours. You can control how much you make. There's flexibility in being a driver. You are self-employed. Another pro I will say is that I have also made some friendships being a Lyft driver and Uber driver, where I've had frequent customers that I, pick up. They go to work at a certain time, and as a result, we've become friends because I've picked them up so many times. Just happened. I've made friends becoming a Lyft and Uber driver. That's another pro. The cons. Money is made based on the demand in your location. So what that means is, if someone doesn't need a ride, you don't get paid. There have been days where I've made $5 for the day. Having the apps on, I've made $5. There have been days where I've made $150 for the day. Now, to some people, that may not seem like a lot of money, but for me, part-time, just to supplement here and there, I'm happy with that. I know there are other ways you can make money. You can refer people. You can refer friends and family and other people to make more money through, these sources of income. So I will also leave links below if you would like to sign up. That would help me out too, as you do get a percentage for everybody that signs up. And in addition to that, you get a bonus for when you first sign up. So if you'd like to get started, please sign up below. And at the end, I will give my conclusion as to whether I think it is truly worth it or not. So cons are, it's all based on demand. So you have to be savvy with where you're going, the time of the day. The demand is usually higher in the morning for commuters, at night for the party goers, and on the weekends. That's usually the highest demand. With that being said, there are people who get 2-hour rides away on a Wednesday afternoon at 1 p.m. It does happen, but it's not necessarily a frequent situation. It can be depending on where you are and the type of customers you have. Also, oversaturation. If there are too many drivers in your area, the chances of you getting a ride goes down a little bit. So if there are 5 people on your street that you live on, let's say you turn your app on where you live. If there are 5 people on your street that are also Lyft or Uber drivers, that cuts into your, their competition for you. So if there are a ton of Lyft and Uber drivers in your area, sometimes it may be beneficial to go to an area where there are less, or there are going to be less drivers. So let's say there's a concert going on. You can go to where the concert is and pick up tons of people, but also keep in mind that there may be commuters that are in your local area that are saying, hey, where are all the Lyft drivers? Where are all the Uber drivers? I need to get to work tonight. And, lo and behold, they've all gone to that concert so that they can try to maximize their income. I'm not saying don't go to that concert, but what I'm saying is, like, if you're doing it from home, that is a opportunity to take advantage of. You can take advantage of the locals. And it also depends on how much you want to make. If you want to make a lot of money, let's say $200 and up a day, you're going to have to go to those metro areas. I'm talking about New York City, Philadelphia, places where it's just nonstop busy. New York is a different situation, and I do believe you have to go through different things to become Lyft and Uber drivers. I do not know much about that because I do not drive in New York, but I do drive in the outskirts of New York City. So that being said, metro areas, you will make a lot more money if you have the time and the effort, and you're going to have to pick up a lot of people. It's not always going to be you're not always going to get long rides in the metro areas. Where I live, I tend to get longer rides just because of the nature of where I live, and I'm fine with that. And as a part-time Lyft or Uber driver, I am completely fine with that because on average, I end up it ends up being about $10 to $15 per ride, which I'm completely fine with. So that's just my personal experience. Wear and tear on your car. You are going to have wear and tear on your car if you are driving your car all day, every day, nonstop. just picking up people here and there. You know, stop, go, stop, go. There's going to be wear and tear on your car. So make sure you can afford to deal with that if that comes about. You know, I have had some situations where I've had to get my car fixed. It may not have necessarily been because of the Lyft or Uber driving per se, because I do not drive that much. I only drive very, very part-time. I do not do it full-time. I started out doing it full-time 2 years ago, but now I just do it very, very part-time, and I'm very happy with that. But there will be wear and tear on your car if you're driving for hours on end in a day. I will also say that if you were in the busier areas, you can rent cars and drive them specifically for the Lyft or Uber service. I know Lyft does that. I don't know if Uber does it, but for Lyft, you can rent a car and use that rental car to drive people around, which is awesome because not only does that eliminate the wear and tear on your car, but you still make money and you can protect your car. Or if you don't even have a car, you can still rent a car. So keep an eye out for that. I believe it's called Lyft Express. If I'm wrong, I will correct that on the video or leave it below. But that is a pro to the con that I'm talking about. And the last con I will say is if you're not comfortable with this, there will be strangers in your car. So if you're not comfortable with people at a close proximity, then this may not be the job for you. Over the years, you know, I've grown accustomed to it, so I'm okay with it. I have had great experiences with people in my car, and so far so good. They have options where you can show where you're going to a friend or a family member. It can track your, specifically Uber, it can track your rides. As long as you have the Uber app on, you can share it with somebody and they can see exactly where you're going to be through a link on their phone, just for safety. And I think same goes for the customers. So if I'm wrong about that, you can comment below and correct me. But I do believe with Uber, the customer can also track their ride through a link as well. So with that being said, is it worth it? And I say, yes, it is worth it. It can be very lucrative. It's great. For me, it's great part-time money. It can be a great full-time income. You will have to pay your taxes at the end of the year because it is self-employment. You get paid through 1099, which means they do not take the taxes out, and you have to pay them at the end of the year on whatever you make. So you can write certain things off as a Lyft and Uber driver, and they kind of walk you through that through after tax time, or I mean during tax time, they walk you through that. But with that being said, it's definitely worth it. I say go for it. And in my next video, I'm just going to talk about tips on how you can maximize your income, how I've been able to maximize my income, and so far so good. I have other sources of income now, and because I love it so much, I still do it. So that has to say something about the programs. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below or just send me a message, and I will be glad to answer them about my experiences with Lyft and Uber. And I will also say that this may not affect you, but in my area, I get more Uber rides than I do Lyft rides. So I do know where I have to go to get more Lyft rides, but I do have to drive about 30 minutes out to pick up the Lyft rides. But in my general area where I'm from, more people tend to use Uber than Lyft. It may be different where you live, because this is just my personal experience that I wanted to share with you. And I can't wait to talk to you about ways to maximize your income driving for Uber or Lyft. Till next time, and talk to you soon. And don't forget, if you would like to get started, which I do suggest you do if you're either in between jobs or you just need a little bit of part-time money just to supplement. Every penny adds up. Sometimes I even keep the apps on when I'm running errands because it doesn't hurt. You know, if I'm going out to a supermarket or to the store just to pick up one thing, I'll keep the app on, and hey, I may pick up a ride on the way back home. So little things like that add up as far as income goes. Every dollar counts. And you can also refer friends and family and other people to make more money through these two driving services. So if you would like to sign up below, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye. Okay, so here we are. Got a cat hair in my mouth. Today I want to talk to you about Today I'm going to talk to you Today we are going to talk about my experience as a Lyft driver.